In continuation of the blastocyst formation, now in syncytial trophoblast, the layer which is derived from the cytotrophoblast have no cell wall, a cell membrane around it. It is just the collection of the cytoplasm or protoplasm with nuclei. Develop the spaces in it. Like this, these are the spaces which appear in this way in the syncytial trophoblast. This is outer syncytial trophoblast and inner is the cytotrophoblast. Cytotrophoblast cell are regular cell membrane, whereas the outer cell that is the cell, this is a regular cell membrane, and regular cell membrane that have around it. It developed the new layer which is the cytotrophoblast, syncytial trophoblast. The cell wall, cell membrane of these cells that disappear, only nuclei and the protoplasm is left. This developed the spaces. These spaces are name is given lacunae. Multiple lacunae that appear. Now multiple lacunae that appear like this, in this way, and these lacunae that erode the endometrium of the syncytium trophoblast actually erode the endometrium, and the blood vessels which are present, which are the spiral arteries in third phase of menstrual cycle, and the glands which are present, which are the tortuous full of secretion, that get ruptured by this syncytial trophoblast, and blood start flowing from the spiral arteries into these lacunae. The arterial blood which is entering in it, as well as the glands also make communication. Their duct is ruptured and the secretion start entering into lacunae, which is the full source of nutrition also. Now it is collected in these lacunae. The blood flowing into these lacunae is taken away by the two veins which are present on the side of each lacunae that carry the blood back to the, that is the maternal blood, mother blood, which is carried back to the endometrial veins and then to the uterine veins. So in this way, very early, that is the uteroplacental circulation is established. Uteroplacental, because the spiral arteries and veins, they belong to uterus, lacunae that belong to the syncytial trophoblast, which is the future placenta, and will contribute in the formation of placenta. It is early. Now when this blood is collected and nutrition is collected in these lacunae by diffusion that cross through the syncytium and cyto to enter here, which is present epiblast and hypoblast and embryonic disc, which get the nutrition and further development occur. So here what we said, that lacunae become filled with mixture of maternal blood from the ruptured endometrial capillaries and the cellular debris from the eroded uterine glands. That is the uterine gland secretion, which is full of secretion, and the capillaries of the endometrium, which carry the oxygen and other requirement of minerals which are entering into this lacunae. Fluid from the lacunae provide nutritive material to the embryonic disc. Embryonic disc is the inner cell mass. Here it flow, this blood is very rapid, that is all around with, that is the shower, like a shower that spread in the lacunae. And when it is enter into lacunae, this barrier of the sensitive trophoblast between lacunae and cytotrophoblast, this part, here the diffusion occur of this nutritive material and oxygen crossing the cyto, and here which is present the embryonic disc, which get nutrition and lead to development of the embryoblast. The blood which is entering into lacunae is taken away from the maternal vein. This is MV, maternal artery or capillary. This is again maternal vein, which are present on the side of lacunae, and take the blood away back to the, it is a deoxygenated blood, one should say, because oxygen is given into the, from the lacunae, crossing through this barrier of sensitio, then cyto, and that is utilized. The fluid from the lacunae provide nutritive material to the embryonic disc by diffusion through cytotrophoblast and exocoelomic membrane. Eroded endometrium capillaries communicate with the lacunae in sensitio trophoblast. Communicate with lacunae in sensitio trophoblast to establish early uteroplacental circulation. When maternal blood flow into lacunae network, oxygen and nutritive substances pass to the embryo. When maternal blood flow into lacunae network, oxygen and nutritive material, that substances pass to embryo, and the venous blood substance pass to the embryo, and venous blood is removed by endometrium veins, which I told you. These are the two veins on each side which carry back the venous blood again to the mother. As conceptus implant, endometrial cells undergo decidual reaction. So this whole blastocyst, this whole one, which is embedded in the endometrium, around it here, all around, is the endometrial cells, which are full of glycogen and swollen, and that is eroded by this endometrium. That endometrium damage it, this sensitive trophoblast damage these cells. Endometrial cell, they are full of secretion all around near the blastocyst and swollen. Now the sensitive trophoblast damage these cells and take up the nutrition which is stored in these cells by diffusion and through the sensitio, then cyto, then to the embryonic disc. So as conceptus implant, endometrial cells undergo decidual reaction. Decidual reaction term used is the surrounding cells of the endometrium, which are swollen, full of glycogen and eroded by syncytium, and damaging of these cells, and utilize these cells as nutrition by the blastocyst. That nutrition by diffusion pass through syncytium, cyto, then to the embryonic disc. The decidual reaction is what the cells swell because of the accumulation of the glycogen and lipid. So-called decidual cells provide nutrition at 12-day adjacent, that is the lacunae network, giving the syncytium a sponge-like, that is the appearance. Syncytium erode the sinusoids, and the maternal blood flows freely into the capillaries. That is the freely communicate in the capillaries network. At meantime, hypoblast produces additional cells that migrate along inside of the exosome membrane from the secondary yolk sac. So what we say is that is the this is the hypoblast cells, and from the margin of the hypoblast the cell grow downward as like this, and these cells which grow primarily the out this cell grow along with the chorionic plate, and name is given Hauser membrane. This now it is a large yolk sac forming the primary yolk sac or primary umbilical vesicle. Later on another membrane develops inside this Hauser membrane, and that is the second membrane, this one, and this whole yolk sac primary become shorter, and it becomes smaller in size by the development of the secondary membrane from the margin of the hypoblast. So from the margin of the hypoblast these cells which migrate and that form a smaller yolk sac, name is given secondary yolk sac. This one is secondary, this outer is the primary. First secondary is not present, this one is not present, this one is not present, and only this one is the present, forming a large yolk sac which is the primary. Later on inside it another membrane develop from the margin of the hypoblast and make a smaller yolk sac which is secondary yolk sac. There is the picture seen inside the chorionic plate. This was the lining of the primary yolk sac or Hauser membrane. Later on this second layer developed from the margin of the hypoblast and make this yolk sac smaller. This is the secondary yolk sac, a secondary umbilical vesicle. By the time is different is that it has no yolk. Previously it was thought that like the egg yolk, which is stored food, present in it and help in development of epi and hypoblast and the germinal disc. But now it is proved that this drives the secretion, as previously told, from the residual cells and by their damaging, and nutrition is derived from the lacunae, not the stored yolk. So name is changed as umbilical vesicle instead of yolk sac. Now this secondary yolk sac or secondary umbilical vesicle now name. This was the primary yolk sac which is not present at the moment. So the Hauser membrane disappear, and now this is secondary is formed by this appearance of second layer. A new population of cell appear from the caudal most part of the primitive streak is the extraembryonic mesoderm. At this time, when this space is created, this one, by the shortening of the yolk sac, previously it was so large and occupying whole of the blastocyst cavity. Now when it becomes shorter by the development of secondary membrane, you can see over here that a space is created. This space is between the chorionic plate, this one cytotrophoblast and syncytium. This is the cytotrophoblast and syncytium outer layer, and between this secondary yolk sac layer or boundary, what you see, this is the large space is created over here. This whole is space, this one, this whole is space around these two vesicles. It is the umbilical vesicle, this amniotic sac, this one is the amniotic sac. Between the epiblast, below epiblast forming the floor of the amniotic sac, and cells which are derived from the epiblast, they form a ring-like structure around it, or vesicle. These are the cells of the uh, amnioblast. Now amnioblast cell all around, and below is the that is the epiblast, together form the amniotic sac. Second is the roof of the yolk sac is formed by a hypoblast and surrounding ball which is derived from this hypoblast. Total name is given secondary yolk sac or secondary umbilical vesicle. It is a bivesicle stage, two vesicles are formed. Now space all around it, these two vesicles, is empty. This one. Now this empty space get filled by the extraembryonic mesoderm, which is derived from the primitive streak, is the extraembryonic mesoderm, that is fills the space between trophoblast and amnion and exocoelomic membrane. This one is the exocoelomic membrane bounding the secondary yolk sac. This is the amniotic sac. This is the amniotic sac, which is the and secondary yolk sac. All this space is got filled with the extraembryonic mesoderm. Now this mesoderm, which is filling at the moment around these two vesicles all around, the spaces appear in this mesoderm, and these spaces then coalesce with each other, and the large space is formed. This large space is formed. Previously it filled this space, but later on the lacunae appear, and that fill this space. That is the make this space empty. Now, but part of the extraembryonic mesoderm is left behind at four places. Extraembryonic mesoderm, which is left around the yolk sac, this red is shown. Name is given splanchnic mesoderm. Splenchnic. Splanchnic means viscera. That will change into GIT or other. So that is name given splanchnic mesoderm. This one, it is the extraembryonic mesoderm, which is left behind around the primary, this secondary yolk sac. The part of the extraembryonic mesoderm which is left, this red is shown, all around the this amniotic sac. This is also extraembryonic mesoderm, a layer of extraembryonic mesoderm which is left behind. That is the somatic mesoderm. That is the somatic mesoderm as written over here, somatic mesoderm. Then another third is mesoderm is the which is lining the cytotrophoblast inside. This outer is the cyto, and then again outer is the syncytium. Inside the cytotrophoblast, this part of the extraembryonic mesoderm, all around lining, all around this lining, this red. Now this is name is given. This is become the part of the chorionic plate mesoderm or extraembryonic mesoderm. It is a somatic mesoderm. That is the somatic mesoderm. This is the number 3, which is lining whole of this inner side of cytotrophoblast. This is number 3. Number 1 is the splanchnic mesoderm around the yolk sac. Number 2 is the somatic mesoderm around the amniotic sac. Number 3 is the lining inside of the cytotrophoblast, which is the chorionic plate. And third is crossing this space, connecting the chorionic plate with the embryonic disc. This bridge, which is crossing this space, this one space, from chorionic plate up to the embryonic disc, name is given connecting stalk. Connecting stalk. Now connecting stalk is from the chorionic plate up to the embryonic disc. This is number 4. So extra embryonic mesoderm, which we'll talk later on, derived from the primitive steak, caudalmost part of the primitive steak, that fill this whole space. Then spaces appear, and the 4 parts of the extra embryonic left behind, leaving this space again empty. This space again become empty. Primarily it is filled by extra embryonic, then spaces appear, and these spaces coalesce with each other to create again the cavity. But part of the extra embryonic left is chorionic plate, splanchnic mesoderm, somatic mesoderm, and this fourth name is connecting stalk, which make the link between the chorionic plate and embryonic disc. Now this second cavity, what we say, first it was cavity, but after the disappearance of the extra embryonic mesoderm from the center, this cavity name is given chorionic cavity with reference to the chorionic plate. Chorionic plate term actually include the 3 things: this extra embryonic mesoderm layer, cytotrophoblast, and outer is the syncytiotrophoblast. These 3 together form the chorionic plate. So this mesoderm extra embryonic is part of the chorionic plate. Now fill the space between extra embryonic mesoderm, fill the space between the trophoblast, amnion, and exocoelomic membrane. This is the exocoelomic membrane, what the term means, bounding the secondary yolk sac. Large cavities develop in the extra embryonic mesoderm, which coalesce with each other to form the chorionic cavity. Now this surround the number 1, what? Yolk sac. As I told you, it surround the number 1, the yolk sac, and name is given splanchnic mesoderm. Number 2, it bound the amniotic sac, as I told you, that is the somatic mesoderm. Third is the connecting stalk. This one is the connecting stalk, and at the level of the extra embryonic disc, somatic mesoderm. The chorionic plate line the inside the cytotrophoblast layer, somatic mesoderm. This one is also somatic mesoderm. Connecting stalk is somatic mesoderm. Around the amniotic sac is somatic mesoderm, but around this exocoelomic membrane or yolk sac is the splanchnic mesoderm. So they will later on develop into the blood vessels and other components of the embryo. At the end of the second week, develop the chorionic villi from the columns with syncytium covering the cellular extension develop into syncytiotrophoblast. Now the cytotrophoblast start proliferating and make this column of the cells are projections, especially the more at the embryonic pole than the abembryonic. This is the cytotrophoblast, which make a column and are projections. There are multiple projections which appear over here and covered over by syncytium outside. Cytotrophoblast that is covered over by syncytio. These projection name is given primary villi. The primary villi appear toward the embryonic pole more as compared to this abembryonic pole. This one is the embryonic pole where the apoblast and epiblast present, or two vesicle are present. Now, extraembryonic mesoderm also penetrate in this projecting villi. This is red is the extraembryonic mesoderm. So now name is given secondary villi. Primary villi name given when only cyto form a column or villus surrounded by cyto, syncytio. Cyto and syncytio together form primary villi. When extraembryonic mesoderm also grow in it, it is the secondary villi. The extraembryonic mesoderm change into the capillary network or blood vessels. When blood vessel that is formed, then name is given tertiary villi. That is the inside blood vessel, outer cyto, then is the syncytio. So what we say that what is the primary villus? Cytotrophoblast and syncytio. What is secondary villi? Addition of extraembryonic mesoderm, which name is given secondary. When extraembryonic mesoderms change into blood capillaries, then is the tertiary villi. So at the end of second week, develop chorionic villi, form column or projection with syncytium covering cellular extensions, grow into syncytiotrophoblasts. The growth of these extension is induced by, which is the factor which induce this development of villi, is underlying extraembryonic mesoderm that make a signal to develop the cyto to form the villi covered over by syncytium. So primary villi formation, which is only cyto and syncytio, is induced by their formation is induced by underlying extraembryonic mesoderm. Then again the extraembryonic mesoderm itself also penetrate in this villus and change into secondary villi. Chorionic plate. What is chorionic plate? Chorionic plate plus, that is the extraembryonic mesoderm, cytotrophoblast and syncytiotrophoblasts form the together name is given chorion or chorionic plate. That is chorionic extraembryonic mesoderm, cytotrophoblast, syncytio, together name is given chorion. It forms the wall of the chorionic sac. Next topic is the gastrulation. Many times it is asked in the university question also. Okay, write about the gastrulation. What do you mean? Define the gastrulation. It is the process that establishes three germinal layers, that is the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. That three germinal layer, or you can say it is the third week of development, gastrulation, in which the three layers are formed. In first week, that is the inner cell mass was a single layer and not differentiated into anything. Second week, inner cell mass become double layer, epiblast, which further give hypoblast, two layer. But when it is changed into three layers, that is the epiblast, below is the mesoderm, and below is the hypoblast, three layers. That is the process is name is given establishment of three layers, three germinal layers. Number one, epiblast, later on name is given ectoderm. Then in the center is the mesoderm. Then the hypoblast, later on name is given the endoderm, that change into endoderm. So this formation is the name is given gastrulation. Now the process which first occurs or toward the formation of the or to complete the gastrulation process. The first is the primitive streak. Primitive streak, it is seen on the dorsal aspect of the epiblast, as you can say. Actually, epiblast and hypoblast, if you see from anteroposterior view, that is a plate-like structure, two plates that put one on each other. Upper plate is the epiblast, lower plate is the hypoblast. This is the upper plate, dorsal side is seen, and that is the whole plate is the epiblast. Previously section was shown, that is transverse section of epi and apo, and look like a single layer of cells, like a finger like, two fingers placed on each other, but not. It is full hand. One hand is put on the other. That is the upper hand is the epiblast, lower hand is the hypoblast. So this is just a plate, oval shaped plate, which is name is given epiblast. It has dorsal side. Dorsal side is that where the vertebral column is there, you can say development, and other side is the ventral side. Now toward the vertebral column or neural tube or toward the amniotic sac, you can say, is the dorsal side. So on the dorsal side, the streak appear, primitive streak. What is actually primitive streak is these epiblast cells, they start proliferating and migrating toward the midline. This midline. This is the migration of the cell here, and then migration of cell is here. These cells they start proliferating and migrating toward the center, not whole of the epiblast, but in caudal half only. If you divide into the epiblast that I have written it, the caudal half, they up to this level. Cranial half, it doesn't occur. In the cranial half, it doesn't occur. It is the lower half where the cells they start proliferating and start collecting in the that heap of cells, which are the two gathering of cells which appear. And when these cells they are gathered over here in the form of two lines, the intermediate part between these two gatherings is depressed and forming the primitive groove. A groove is actually automatically created by the collection of cells in linear manner on one side, collection of cells on linear manner on other side, that when they are collected and raised up, the in center is the primitive groove is created. In front of that, there is a hole, just like the hole of the old lock, that is the key lock. That is a hole is present, a pit is present. That is the name is given the primitive node, or the this is the primitive node which has a pit in it, primitive pit, a depression. So this is a linear groove, and in front is the depression. And this whole structure is forming primitive streak. It is seen on dorsal aspect of the epiblast. It is first seen in caudal region, which I told you, that in caudal half it appears. In cranial half, this one is the cranial half, it doesn't present. It is the first seen in the caudal region, embryonic disc. Formation of the primitive streak is induced by underlying hypoblast. The below the that is actually produce the signals, and that signals are that is the signal from the hypoblast induce this formation of streak. Hypoblast and fibroblast growth factor 8. There is another thing which is the also induce this streak is the fibroblast growth factor 8, which induce the many time MCQ is asked the structure which is signaling give the signal and responsible for induction of the primitive streak is in option if it is given hypoblast or the fibroblast growth factor 8. That is the correct. As epiblast cells proliferate, two ridges are formed on each side of the primitive streak. Two ridges are formed on each side of primitive streak. The lower midline portion of the streak is called primitive groove. As I told you, there are two bundle of or linear bundle of fibers that is collected over here. So automatically in center is the groove appear. The name is given primitive groove. Here is shown that in the cranial lobe no streak, but in the caudal lobe this primitive streak is formed. This is the epiblast region or amniotic sac. Here is there, and in front the epiblast and hypoblast they fuse with each other in a circular small area. Name is given buccopharyngeal membrane or the oropharyngeal membrane. A similar collection is there over here, or union is there, where is the name is given the cloacal membrane. Here is shown the yolk sac or secondary umbilical vesicle. This red is surrounding of the this one is the extraembryonic mesoderm. This one is the secondary or definite yolk sac, and this one is the exocoelomic membrane, yellow exocoelomic membrane, which secondarily appear and form the this secondary yolk sac. This yellow cuboidal cells are the hypoblast, and this columnar cells long is the epiblast. In first week it is single layer, and that is the only epiblast. Then it divide and give second layer below it, which is below the epiblast is hypoblast. From the margin of the this epiblast, cell grow like this outside. Name is given amnioblast. These cells white and enclose a cavity or a vesicle that is the amniotic sac. Similarly, hypoblast, from its margin cell divide and form this exocoelomic membrane, and to convert it into a vesicle, name is given definite yolk sac. So below is the epiblast, above is the hypoblast, and the extraembryonic mesoderm surrounding the amniotic sac is somatic mesoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm surrounding the yolk sac is the splanchnic mesoderm. And this is the number 4. Number 1 is this splanchnic mesoderm. Number 2 is the somatic mesoderm around the amniotic sac. This connection, this one from here, this hall is the connecting stalk. Number 3, derivative of extraembryonic mesoderm. This is the connecting stalk, and this one which is running inside cytotrophoblast. This layer is the cyto, and this whole inside extraembryonic mesoderm, which is lining over here, is the extraembryonic mesoderm lining is the forming the chorionic plate. Outside in citium, which has lacunae, development of lacunae is occurring, in which later on spiral arteries flow, and the veins maternal carry the blood from these lacunae. From lacunae, the diffusion of the oxygen and nutrition take place from this syncytium number 1 layer, then cyto number 2 layer, and then cross the extraembryonic mesoderm and approach this embryonic disc. This is the embryonic disc and give the development. Here is shown the primitive streak, that is the anterior part is the primitive node like this depression, and that is the primitive node. This is the primitive streak, and here is the cells of the epiblast, long columnar cells which have been shown. This is the long columnar cells, epiblast, and below is the cuboidal cells. Yellow hole is the hypoblast. There are 2 points where they are in contact with each other, that is the epiblast and hypoblast, and that is the buccopharyngeal membrane. Another side it is they are communicated with each other, that is the cloacal membrane, like this. The from the primitive streak, now the cells which are migrating from this epiblast layer toward the primitive streak, they dip in the primitive streak groove. They dip in the primitive groove and pass downward through the streak. When they pass downward, they displace this epiblast layer from the hypoblast. So hypoblast layer is separated out, that is from the epiblast, and this space is created. This space, this you can see, this space is created because of the migration of these cells from the primitive streak. Now the cells of the epiblast from the margin, they proliferate, dip in the groove, then pass down and then spread out on each side, this red, and displaces this endoderm which was previously in contact with epiblast as shown in the previous diagram. Now it is both are separated out and occupied now by the these red cells. What is this red cells? They are basically epiblast cells which migrate from the primitive streak down and then start settling in between the epiblast and the hypoblast, that is in between the epiblast and hypoblast. They start settling over there and displaces it. Now this is the newly created layer which occupies the space between epiblast and hypoblast. Name is given intraembryonic mesoderm. That is the, and this process of the cells, the phenomena that epiblast cell they migrate to primitive streak, then they pass through the primitive groove and settle between epiblast and hypoblast. This phenomena of the entry of the cell, name is given ingression. Ingression is the penetration of the cells from the groove between the epi and hypoblast. And now by ingression phenomena they spread, and third layer is developing, which is the mesoderm, intraembryonic. This is intraembryonic, not extra, as previously told. Intraembryonic mesoderm. So it becomes now 3 layers, which is the process of gastrulation. Epiblast above, mesoderm in between, and hypoblast. If you see from here, the primary layer, which was the inner cell mass, was single layer, and that was the epiblast only. Epiblast then divide to form the layer below it, that is the hypoblast. Hypoblast derived from the proliferation of cells of the epiblast. Now the third layer, which is also formed, is from the epiblast cells, which migrate to primitive streak and then settle between epiblast and hypoblast and form the mesoderm. So you can say that epiblast is the mother layer from where the other 2 layers are derived. That first is the hypoblast, then second is the mesoblast, the mesoderm. So it is the mother layer which gives the derivatives of the. So in the chapter of the muscle development, it is written that the majority of the that is the muscle derived from the mesodermal cells, but muscles of the eye that is ectodermal in origin or the epiblast region. So there is nothing to think that how it can occur. Okay, that epiblast is giving somewhere the muscles, whereas all the muscles of the body mesodermal in origin, but eye muscle they are ectodermal. Ectoderm can change into muscle because it is the mother layer. Mesoderm basically derived from epiblast, mesoderm. So if the epiblast that is can give mesoderm, it can itself also can change into muscle. Though that is this one is the cloacal membrane. Here the ecto and endoderm or epiblast and hypoblast fuse with each other. This one is the buccopharyngeal membrane where the epi and hypoblast fuse with each other. Now the primitive streak cells, which are what we said is the mesodermal in origin, that have various directions to pass on. Number one, from the primitive node, the cell they pass linear or in midline toward the buccopharyngeal membrane, stop over here. That is stop over here, the buccopharyngeal. You can see over here that is the straight passing from the primitive node up to buccopharyngeal membrane. Now two variety of the mesodermal cells are present over here. The most anterior cells, which are just behind the first cell to migrate behind the oropharyngeal membrane, here that is the name is given the parocardial plate. Then cell behind that from the parocardial plate up to node, name will be given the prenotocardial cells or notocardial cells. So two things which will be present in the midline, most anteriorly the precaudal plate, second is the prenotocardial cells or notocardial. Some cells they migrate laterally like this from the node in this manner and pass in front of the buccopharyngeal or oropharyngeal membrane, that pass on the side of notocard and parocardial plate in front of the buccopharyngeal membrane. They form this horseshoe shape or the U-shaped structure. The cells settle over here like this, and the name is given, that is the cardiogenic cells. It develop into primary heart field that is formed. So these are the number one cells which are migrating from the primitive node most anteriorly. This has been shown and settle in this area only, small area, and behind the buccopharyngeal membrane in midline parocardial plate. For behind the parocardial plate up to node is the precaudal cells, a notocard. Third is the cardiogenic cell which migrate laterally. This is lateral to the notocard and parocardial plate. Just laterally they migrate in front of the buccopharyngeal membrane and settle on the margins and in a U-shape or horseshoe shape manner, cardiogenic. Number 4. Here we will explain that this intraembryonic mesoderm is divisible now in 3 components. From this anterior, here is the anterior component of the intraembryonic mesoderm. then is the middle component of the intraembryonic mesoderm, then is the third component of intraembryonic mesoderm. So number one will be here, that spread over here cells of mesoderm, one group. Second group is from here to this area. Third is here, and the fourth is here, and there is also the fifth component, which is the there. So there are total 5 components which are derived from. 4 are derived from the primitive streak, and the number 5th is derived from the primitive node. Now, so what we said from the primitive node, precaudal plate cell derived. The pre-notochordal cells are derived midline. On each side is the cardiogenic cells derived. The first component of the intraembryonic mesoderm is paraxial mesoderm, which has 2 parts, that is the medial and lateral. Medial is derived from the primitive node. So finally we say from the primitive node, the migrating cells between the epiblast and hypoblast, they will form 4 components which are derived from the primitive node. Number 1, precaudal plate. Number 2, notochord. Number 3, cardiogenic cells. And number 4 is the medial half of the paraxial mesoderm. Now, upper 1/4 almost of the primitive streak, that cell spread on each side, form the lateral half of paraxial mesoderm. So medial half is derived from the primitive node, but whereas the lateral half is derived from the primitive streak, most anterior 1/4 part. Next 1/4, that gives the second part of the intraembryonic mesoderm. Name is given intermediate mesoderm, and third, that is the third quarter, from where the cell derived. On each side they form lateral plate. So from the primitive node and the anterior part of the primitive streak, both give paraxial mesoderm. Next is the intermediate mesoderm, then is the lateral plate mesoderm. The final component 1/4, which is further divisible into 2 parts, A and B. Now anterior A part, that give primordial germ cells, which is spermatogonia and oogonia. In my previous lecture I told you that I will let you know the site of the development of primordial germ cells, and that is here. They are derived from the primitive streak. Last quarter A part, that is give the oogonia and spermatogonia, and B part of this quarter, that give the extraembryonic mesoderm. That give the extraembryonic mesoderm. That is what mentioned in that is extraembryonic mesoderm, that derived from the primitive streak. So total derivative of the primitive node and streak is, if we repeat it again, from the primitive node in the midline, number 1 is precaudal plate, number 2 is the prenotochordal cells, number 3 is the cardiogenic cells, and number 4 is the medial half of paraxial mesoderm. And from the primitive streak, most anteriorly, lateral half of paraxial mesoderm. Next is the intermediate mesoderm. Intermediate mesoderm here, and next is the intermediate mesoderm, and next is the lateral plate mesoderm, and finally is the primordial germ cells, and last is the this one, extraembryonic mesoderm. Here is shown the procaudal plate, Behind this one is the oropharyngeal membrane or buccopharyngeal membrane. You can see over here the most uh, in the midline, most cranial is the precaudal mesoderm. You can see over here that here is the developing neural tube. A nervous system is developing. This component, most anterior part of the this one neural tube is the forebrain, then is the midbrain, then hindbrain, and then in the spinal cord. The pericardial plate is below the forebrain. There is cerebral hemisphere. So this is responsible for giving the signal or induction of the forebrain. If pericardial plate is not formed, the forebrain failed to develop, and anencephaly condition occur. And so it has a very important role for induction of the forebrain. Next is this component is the notochord, and which act as the nexus of the vertebral column. Later on will develop around the neural tube. And here is the endoderm, which is shown. This is the buccopharyngeal membrane. This one is the cloacal membrane, what is shown over here. And this one red is the intraembryonic mesoderm, derived from the primitive streak, which is intervening between epiblast and hypoblast. Now the notochord cells, they actually change into a tube-like structure, and this floor of the tube that join with this endoderm, and here detach and join with the endoderm in the center notochordal cells. Then later on they separate out from here and form a notochord in the center, and on each side there is intraembryonic mesoderm, which has been shown. It is cut into two halves, that is on one side right and left half. In between is the notochord, which first join with the endoderm, then separate from endoderm and become independent notochord or definite notochord. This picture is shown over here. Primitive node that is giving the notochordal cell N. Then the paraxial mesoderm, which is in two halves. This one is the medial half, which is derived from the primitive node. This area here will be precaudal plate will be formed, and then the notochord is formed behind that in midline. On each side there is a cardiogenic mesoderm which will form. Fourth component derived from the node is this medial half of paraxial mesoderm. PM is showing paraxial mesoderm. So from the primitive node to four things are derived: precaudal plate here, notochord behind that. Extent of the notochord is from precaudal plate up to the primitive node. Third is not shown over here, cardiogenic mesoderm. Fourth is medial half of this, the paraxial mesoderm. Lateral half you can see is derived from the primitive streak, most anterior part. Behind that is intermediate mesoderm, which is derived from mid part of the primitive streak. Behind that is the intraembryonic mesoderm, that is the lateral plate mesoderm, LPM. This IM is the intermediate mesoderm. LPM is the lateral plate mesoderm. This one, the word is LPM. And primordial germ cell not shown in next diagram. You will see here is the extraembryonic mesoderm, which is derived from the most caudal part of the primitive streak. Here is shown the this one is the cloacal membrane. Behind that, this is the oropharyngeal membrane. So primitive streak start from the this cloacal membrane and give its cell up to oropharyngeal membrane. Cells of the epiblast migrate toward the cells of the epiblast which migrate toward the primitive groove and sink in it, and they migrate away from it beneath the epiblast is termed the ingression, which I told you. This is the ingression phenomena. Cells, they are penetrating groove and occupying the space between epiblast and hypoblast. The primitive node or Hansen node, another name given, is most rostral or most anterior region of the primitive streak, resemble keyhole. The cell which ingress through form the number 1 pericardial plate, number 2 notochord, number 3 embryonic endoderm, and medial half of the somite, that is the paraxial mesoderm, which I told you. The first component derived from the node is precaudal plate, then notochord, then embryonic endoderm, which is below it, and medial half of the somite. Removal of the node result in complete absence of the notochord and failure of new relation. Upper one third of the primitive streak contribute lateral half of the somite. Middle one third contribute intermediate mesoderm. Caudal one third contribute lateral plate mesoderm. And caudal most part of the streak contribute primitive germ cells and extraembryonic mesoderm. The source of this tissue is primitive sac or hypoblast. Other source, that is what is said that extraembryonic mesoderm can also be derived partly from the yolk sac wall. Once the cells are invaginated, some displaces the hypoblast, creating the embryonic endoderm, and other come to lie between the epiblast and newly created endoderm to form a mesoderm, which I told you that when the primitive streak cell they migrate down, they displaces the endoderm from the ectoderm or epiblast and occupy the space between epiblast and hypoblast. Name is given mesoderm. Mesoderm is divisible on each side of the neural tube into 3 components. Number 1 is this is the paraxial mesoderm on each side. This is the intermediate mesoderm on each side, and then this is the lateral plate mesoderm on each side. So interembryonic mesoderm has 3 components. Paraxial. This one is the neural tube derived from, we will talk in the neurulation, from the amniotic sac, and this is the notochord. Second is the intermediate mesoderm, and third is the lateral plate. Paraxial mesoderm derived medial half is derived from the primitive node, whereas the lateral half from the cranial one third of the primitive streak. Number 2, intermediate mesoderm develop into urogenital system, that is gonad, testes, ovaries, and the kidney and ureter, which are derived from the intermediate mesoderm. Lateral plate mesoderm form the musculoskeletal system. The cells, the cells remaining in the epiblast. So after giving this primitive stage and the cells which migrate from the primitive stage, what is left behind is the epiblast, this one. It is now converted into two components. Central part become thickened, multilayer. The peripheral part will remain the 2-3 layers only. So that is not very thick. This central thick part will change into neural tube, whereas the peripheral part name is given surface ectoderm. This will change into neural tube, will dip down, and this layer will revive itself or repair itself, this gap, and name is given surface ectoderm, which will later on change into epidermis. The cells remaining in the epiblast then form the neural plate, central part, and surface ectoderm. Number 2, peripheral part. Peripheral part is the surface ectoderm, central part is the neural tube. So epiblast is the source of all the germ layers. That is the mother layer. Epiblast or ectoderm is fused with the hypoblast endoderm both cranially and caudally, which I told you, anteriorly and posteriorly. Epiblast and hypoblast, they fuse with each other. This will form the oropharyngeal membrane. This will form the cloacal membrane. And caudally by the cranial is called the oropharyngeal membrane, and caudal vein is called cloacal membrane. The first cell to migrate through the node in the midline, that is move in cephalic direction. First cells which I told you migrate is the this one procaudal plate, then is the notochord in midline and move in cephalic direction behind the oropharyngeal membrane, and important for induction of forebrain. The name is given precaudal cells. Next, migrating cells from the primitive node which migrate in midline up to the precaudal cells. These cells invaginate in the primitive node forward cranially in the midline until they reach the precaudal plate. These precaudal cells become intercalated in the hypoblast to form the notocaudal plate. Cells of the notocaudal plate proliferate and detach from the endoderm, and they form a solid cord of cells, the definite notochord, which underlies the neural tube and center for inducing the axial skeleton. Fate of the primitive streak. Primitive streak actively form the mesoderm uh, by the ingression of the cells until early part of the 4th week. Thereafter, the production of the mesoderm slows down. The primitive streak disappear at the end of 4th week. Here is again shown this is the primitive streak, primitive node, by oropharyngeal membrane and cloacal membrane over here. Here notocaudal cell, they are incorporated with center of the endoderm like this. They incorporate in between the endodermal cell or a hypoblast. Their name is given the notocaudal plate. These cells then that invaginate to find the form of a circle having a lumen in it. Name is given notochordal, a tube-like structure having a lumen in it. Then it becomes a solid structure, notochord, and that is the definite notochord. Here is shown that is the cell ingressing between epiblast and hypoblast, and this is red is the intraembryonic mesoderm with notochord in between them, and this is the intraembryonic mesoderm. So three layers which are completed in gastrulation: epiblast, mesoderm, and endoblast. Now the now sacrococcygeal teratoma. What is that? Remnant of the primitive streak may persist and give rise sacrococcygeal teratoma. A part of the streak normally disappear, but if it persists a part, it will develop into a tumor-like structure, sacrococcygeal teratoma, which is at the level of sacrum and cocci. It is type of the germ cell tumor. Three layers are involved in this tumor that may be benign or malignant. It may be not spreading or malignant, dangerous. The tumor contains tissue derived from all three germ layers: ectoderm, endoderm, mesodermal cells. Their derivative are present in this tumor. The tumor is common in neonates, especially female neonates, 80%. A presacral teratoma sometimes formed in front of sacrum, which may cause in front of sacrum the obstruction to the rectum or intestine and urinary bladder obstruction.